Hello, everyone. I'm live again for the second time today, which is quite rare. I don't usually go on live twice in one day, but I'm here. I was going to spend the evening at home, but I ended up going out with my cousin and we just had dinner at a restaurant. I had some chicken and vegetables and some mashed potatoes, which were actually quite delicious. But while I was out, I was thinking about something and I thought I'll just go on live and talk about it. Let me just turn on this light. I thought, let me go on live and talk about this topic that I was thinking about. And that topic is shame. Like, what is shame? A lot of people, and especially in cultures and religions like mine, we grow up with this idea of shame and feeling bad for things that you do, behaviors, thoughts, and there's shame associated to a lot of things that are pretty normal for human beings to do. And when I grew up, the word shame meant for me like something concrete. Like, if you feel ashamed about something, that's true about you. You should be ashamed about that thing. That thing is shameful. And as I grew older, and especially after I had kids and I got in my 30s, the whole concept of shame changed for me. And the thing that really changed for me with the concept of shame is that I learned that shame is an emotion. It's something that you feel about yourself. It's not something that is true about yourself. And this is like a really important distinction with what shame is that it's an emotion, just like fear, just like sadness or happiness, joy. Shame is an emotion. It's something you're feeling about yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the reality. Just because someone feels sad, it doesn't mean they are a sad person or that they should be actually sad about that thing. It's just how they feel. And when I came to realize that shame is a feeling and that it's not actually like a characteristic or something true about yourself, it just changed my whole mindset. Especially because in certain cultures and religions, shame is like deeply rooted in, mistakes. Like, if you do things that are not perfect or right, you're supposed to feel ashamed of yourself. You're supposed to feel shame. And shame actually brings down your self-esteem. Shame brings down your confidence. It brings down your self-worth. So to teach shame and being ashamed of yourself to children, women, it's a very, very toxic thing to be normalizing, this concept of shame. And I grew up where when I would make like very normal mistakes, sorry, hold on, let's try to like get in the middle here. I grew up where when I would make very normal mistakes, like mistakes that people make as a kid or a teenager or a young adult, things that are normal, I would feel so ashamed of myself. And I would like suffer from this, like, why did I do that? This feeling of like, I'm such a bad person. Why would I do something like that? And I'm not talking about hurting people or, doing bad things to people. I'm talking about like victimless things, like things that I would do that would just have been seen as wrong in my culture or religion. And then those things would bring me all these feelings of shame. And I would always feel like I need to repent so much for very normal mistakes and very normal experiences that I would have. And once I became a mother and as I got older, And once you become a mother, you basically reevaluate everything, because you want what's best for your kids. You want your kids to be very happy. You want them to have a very positive experience in this life. And this concept of shame was like really, really like relevant to me when I had my first child, because I thought, I don't ever want my kid to feel ashamed of themselves. I don't care what they do. I don't care what kind of mistake they make. I don't want them to ever feel ashamed of themselves, unless, unless someone goes and like actually causes harm to somebody intentionally. But I'm talking about like mistakes in life, normal things, normal experiences. Like, I knew that I never wanted my kids to feel that feeling of shame, that feeling of, I did something that wasn't perfect, or I made a mistake and I need to repent for this. I want them to understand that that's normal, that making mistakes are normal, and it doesn't become who you are, and you're not a bad person or an unworthy person because you did those things. You don't need to feel shame. You just need to move on. You're a human being. Something happened. You most likely learned a really good lesson from it. You're most likely smarter because of it. So you don't need to feel bad about it. Hold on. I'm going to just quickly check if this live is actually working. Oh. It's just showing me ads while I'm waiting. Oh, oh my God, 3 ads before my live can start. That's ridiculous. Oh, that sucks.
To be very quick with the decision making, knowing that the infrastructure behind us is solid.
Okay, it's working. Okay, it's working. Okay. Like I was saying, shame. What is shame? So I entered in ChatGPT here the question, what is shame? And, ChatGPT being ChatGPT gave me the answer that I was hoping for. That's how AI works. It knows. Shame is a deep emotional response to the belief that something is wrong with who you are, not just what you did. Like, that is so important, that like sentence. When you instill shame in someone, you're not just instilling shame in the action that you're saying is shameful, but you're shaming them for doing that action. And you are now embedding shame into their character and into their personality, and making them someone who is shameful, who is ashamed. And shame is associated with thoughts of unworthiness, being a bad person, not being good enough, and guilt. Nobody wants and should be instilling that into somebody. So when you're like saying, and this is the thing, I remember once when I was like younger, I think I was like 20 or 21. I was in university, and a bunch of us girls were getting ready to go to an event, and we were at one of our friends' house, and all of us girls were in one room together, and we were getting ready. And I just changed in the room. Like, I had my underclothes on, my bra, my underwear, but I was like changing my clothes. So I was taking off one outfit and putting on another in a room with other girls that I'm friends with. And one of the girls said to me, and this will like always stick with me. And it's funny because like the older you get, you don't remember things as much from when you're younger, but certain things stick with you. And I remember this girl saying to me, "Oh my God, you have no shame." And she laughed when she said it, but it wasn't a joke. Someone could say something to you and laugh, and doesn't mean they're joking. And she said, "Oh my God, you have no shame." And I remember thinking, who says that to somebody? Like, how could you use a word like that so lightly? I mean, in my whole life, I don't think I've ever told someone you have no shame. If I've ever said it about anyone, it was about an evil politician. But about another person, for something so small, like being comfortable enough to change in front of other women, like that is crazy. And that person was also from the same culture and religion as me. So they also had the same concepts of shame instilled in them. They probably themselves were full of shame to even so easily use that on someone else. Because someone who doesn't feel ashamed or hasn't been programmed to feel ashamed would never say that to you. Like, I would never say that to somebody. I would especially never say that to my kids or to a kid or to anyone at all. So, what I'm trying to say is, we say shame, have shame, be ashamed so casually, but it's a very, very emotional and negative thing to say to somebody. Especially so lightly. It shouldn't be used lightly. It's not that people that have no shame don't exist. There are many bad people on this earth. We share this earth with them and we know who they are. But to use the word shame so lightly on regular people, like, that's something that if you do it, you should avoid it. And you should really think about it if you feel those things about yourself. If you feel feelings of shame about yourself, about who you are, who you used to be, mistakes you made in your life. If you feel feelings of shame, ask yourself why. Why do you feel ashamed of those things? Are those things you feel ashamed of valid? Something in my culture that a lot of women feel shame around is having a boyfriend or having had a boyfriend or having dated outside of marriage. And I remember even in my own household with my own siblings, I was shamed for, having a relationship outside of marriage and having this feeling of, you're no longer a worthy person because you've had a relationship outside of marriage. I mean, how are you supposed to meet somebody? How are you supposed to choose your best option if you can't date and have a relationship outside of marriage? You're not going to find out who the person you're with is until you get married. The whole point for a woman to get when she's getting married is to explore all her options and choose the best one, and to give the space for the many options to court her or to convince her that he is the right one. And that requires dating. That requires getting to know that person outside of marriage. And so, coming from a culture that shames you for relationships out of marriage, and that makes women feel unworthy if they've had relations out of marriage, I will tell you it's completely false, made up, and these are things that are completely made up and false in order to keep women from thriving and becoming their best selves and living high quality lives, is through putting shame on women. And a lot of the people who end up feeling shame are women and children. Obviously shame starts when you're young. Shame begins when you're young. But as you get older, for women, that shame just carries on and carries on because our cultures teach us that we should be ashamed about certain things that are very normal experiences. But yeah, and really that's kind of all I have to say about shame. I'll read to you the other things that ChatGPT said about shame. So, what is the difference between shame and guilt? Guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am wrong. it becomes associated with your identity. I am wrong. It is very heavy on you versus guilt. Oh, I feel bad for doing that thing. I feel guilt for doing that thing. Shame is I am bad for doing that thing. I'm a bad person because I did that. Guilt is I feel bad for doing that. I shouldn't have done that. But you're not making that bad thing that you did who you are. With guilt, you're still outside of the bad thing or the mistake. Where shame is you are the bad thing, you are the mistake. It's very different. It's very much inside you. And that's why shame makes kids quiet. It makes kids less confident, have low self-esteem. And if you see kids who have been shamed a lot by their parents, you can see those qualities in them. They're usually very timid, very shy, very quiet. They don't speak up, they don't act out because they're afraid. They already feel so much shame for very normal mistakes that they've made, and they don't want to risk doing it again because they believe it makes them a bad person. Let me see what else it says. Shame thrives in silence. It grows when you feel judged or exposed, when you compare yourself to others, and when you internalize criticism, rejection, or failure. It's very, very internalized, the way shame works, in comparison with guilt, is it becomes a part of you. You become obsessed with this thing that you're ashamed of, and it eats you alive. It's like a disease. Shame is like a disease inside of you. And I felt shame about things in the past that I have no shame about now, because my whole perspective on shame, my whole perspective on these things that were created by men, these to keep women quiet and to keep women obeying things and to keep women under control, don't affect me anymore. But when I wasn't aware of the root of things, when I wasn't aware of Shira 7, I did have shame about things, and I truly, truly don't have those feelings anymore. I feel that anything I've done in my life was completely normal. I did normal things, I had normal experiences, and I don't feel ashamed about anything. I don't even have like guilt about anything, because I just know everything that I've ever done was out of a good intention. And so once you come to terms with that and you stop feeling guilty and you stop feeling ashamed, especially ashamed, and internalizing that shame, you become such a free person. Your mind becomes so free because now you're not worried about the judgment of others and the things that you do and the mistakes that you make and the experiences that you have don't become internal negative self-talk. They don't become these feelings of shame and negativity inside you. They just come and they go, and you let go. It is what it is. Okay. We are 18 minutes in to this video. I have to do some work. I have to wash my face before I put on my pajamas. So I'm gonna go do all of that and just get ready for the week. It's Sunday night. And I like to kind of like prepare my week on Sunday night on a fresh blank slate, so I have a good week, and I think you should all do that too. So have a good Sunday night. I hope you all have a good week, and I'll try to go live again another time this week. Okay, bye everyone.